Time for our CBS Radio clip of fame. The first anchor of an American TV news broadcast was not Walter Cronkite. It was Douglas Edwards. Edwards worked for CBS News Radio for 6 years before becoming America's first TV news anchor, presenting the CBS Television News that was then renamed the CBS Evening News. Edwards did that from 1947 to 1962, when television was emerging as a powerhouse medium. That show ran for 15 minutes. Cronkite took over that broadcast in April of 1962. It was expanded to 30 minutes and became the CBS Evening News with Walter Cronkite. And Cronkite became a figure of journalistic renown, but he stood on the shoulders of Douglas Edwards. Edwards remained at CBS doing considerable TV and radio work until April 1st, 1988. This is his last broadcast for CBS Radio. And you will note that the news in that broadcast about turmoil at the Justice Department, flare-ups in the Middle East, ring more than mildly familiar.
CBS News, I'm Douglas Edwards. Attorney General Edwin Meese says he feels gratified now that independent counsel James McKay has found no evidence to date that could lead to an indictment against him. Meese met with reporters in Washington within the hour to say that he has no intention of resigning and that nominees for top jobs in the Justice Department left vacant by resignations will be announced next week. Deborah Potter reports.
Meese said he has no intention of stepping aside based on what he called allegations by unscrupulous people. He conceded that the reason two of his top aides resigned this week was their concern that the investigation of Meese by a special prosecutor was hampering the work of the Justice Department. But he rejected charges that he has become a liability.
I doubt that it's very widely held, and I have had so many expressions to me personally to the contrary, so that I think that the action that I'm taking is in the best interest of the department, and I'm satisfied with that.
Meese said reports that he is preoccupied with the investigation and putting in very little time on the job are totally untrue, and he said he intends to carry on with his duties as long as the president wants him to. Deborah Potter, CBS News at the Justice Department.
Secretary of State Schultz is gearing up for another round of shuttle diplomacy in the Middle East. Schultz, now in Rome, is expected to arrive Sunday in Israel with a U.S. peace plan that has won few friends. Democratic Senator Alan Dixon of Illinois is urging Schultz to stay away from the PLO.
I think that the secretary, who I consider to be a reasonable, moderate, and fair-minded man, can make a great and important contribution by talking to the Israelis, the Syrians, the Jordanians, the Palestinians, others that we've indicated, and I don't want to see him get off on the wrong foot talking to the PLO, because that's surely a good way to turn off Israel, and I think it's a good way to turn off a lot of Americans as well.
The PLO has called on Palestinian leaders to boycott any meetings that involve Schultz. Security was tight in Israel as Jews began Passover and Christians marked Good Friday. Israeli officials reopened the occupied territories, and there were reports that 2 Arabs were killed in a clash with soldiers outside a West Bank mosque. The nation's unemployment rate fell to a decade-low 5.6% in March. The Labor Department says the drop is a sign that the workforce may have stopped growing. Jimmy Swaggart's future is again the topic of discussion in Baton Rouge, Louisiana. District officials of the Assemblies of God Church are meeting to review their 3-month suspension of Swaggart. The fiery preacher, who says he'll return to the pulpit in May, was told by national church officials to stop preaching for 1 year, this as punishment for his involvement with a prostitute. At 3 minutes past the hour, this is CBS News. Campo Corporation of Canada has won a bitter fight with Macy's over Federated Department Stores. Campo has agreed to pay more than $6.5 billion for the parent company of Bloomingdale's and Abraham and Straus stores. Campo also agreed to let Macy's buy 2 major divisions of Federated. President Reagan has begun a 10-day Easter vacation in California. Before leaving Washington, Mr. Reagan put pen to paper signing the new Contra aid bill. A White House spokesman says the president hopes the next round of peace talks, set to start soon, will help bring about democratic reforms in Nicaragua. End of an era in broadcasting. After 46 years in the business, a man who's graced the radio airwaves is packing it in and moving on. Today may be my last day, but I'm talking now about 68-year-old Simon Geller. For nearly 3 decades, he's run a one-man radio station in Gloucester, Massachusetts. This is CBS News. Douglas Edwards, CBS News.
Douglas Edwards died in 1990 at the age of 73. I would not be here without him. Almost none of us would.